Ewan's not here yet.
Do you think we should go ahead without him?
I think we're going to have to go for it now, okay?
3, 2, 1. Hello, Internet!
Excuse me. Mr. Ben, you use those words, and as if by magic, your podcast host appears. Yes, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is what Poland looks like.
Yeah, Ewan, we've seen it for days. Where have you been?
And therein lies the story of the EU flight compensation recompense scheme that I'm still part of for another couple of weeks.
Congratulations, make use of that.
And celebrations.
The world can know how happy you are. There's a big smile on your face right now, Ewan.
Yeah, because you got the feed line, you throw it up, you catch it, there we go. Kurtis, are you as fast as catching up feed lines like that?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, right, get off. Okay, so Kurtis Carter over here from OGAE Australia.
Yes.
And if we don't have you on the podcast, Danny will break my legs and then Charlene will jump up and down on the remains. So, welcome.
Yes, welcome. Oh, thank you for having me.
What's been your overriding impression after your first full day of rehearsals backstage at Junior Eurovision?
There's just a lot of talent. And a lot of hard work has gone into the contest, so yeah.
It isn't actually the first day. It's the first day for us in the press centre, but everybody's been through first rehearsals already. They've done it behind closed doors. The majority of mistakes, dodgy camera angles, not quite sure where to look, that's all been done by all the artists, and it's brilliant that they get to do that in private.
I think so as well. I think a rehearsal should be a rehearsal. And the thing you have over the last few years when you've seen the press in there from day one is you have to impress, because the blogs react immediately. When it's the big Eurovision Song Contest, you have the betting gods, and the whole movement and the chaos of the Eurovision bubble can be too much. You don't get a chance to experiment. We don't know what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday, and if it's changed today, great. We want to see progression, but we need to see the end product. We don't need to see all the fails and mishaps before that.
Yeah, I mean, we could make some good guesses because some countries went out and just did the song 4 times. It's like, yeah, we got this, boom, boom, boom. And there was others that really had to work on camera angles where you're thinking, they're still needing to do a lot more work. So there's the storylines that we're used to during rehearsals are still there. But compared to previous Junior Eurovisions, and even compared to the adult contest, our performers are much more comfortable.
Absolutely. There's a few times where some of the artists didn't have to sing the high notes, pulled out of doing a line or two, and traditionally we'd be like, oh, what's going wrong here? But actually, because of that nuance of not having us here watching from day one, they're already in the cycle of, I'm rehearsed, this is my stage, I can do what I want to do.
They've already had 30 minutes on stage. We're only seeing the last 20.
We don't need to judge this or that. We need to judge from Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. That's all.
So for those of you taking notes in Rotterdam, this is a good idea.
Yes, it is. And we have to remember that these are kids as well, and they're very nervous. And you have to remember as well that adults are nervous as well. I feel like they're even more nervous because they have their whole careers ahead of them. And like you said, from the first rehearsal, they've got to impress. So if we give them this little leeway, then hopefully it will give them, exactly like you said, Ben, a little bit more time to experiment and hopefully create a better performance for us on the final night.
And I think people who've had a long term listening to the rehearsals would know that there are a number of artists at the adult contest who probably could have benefited from private rehearsal first.
Well, you just saw Anna, the Irish artist, walking past here 2 minutes ago, and one of the lines she said was, oh, I wish I had more time on the stage. Now, you think you've got a 40-minute and a 30-minute rehearsal, 70 minutes on the stage in total, you might get 7 to 8 run-throughs. It's enough time to be comfortable on the stage, but it's not enough time to own that stage. And that's not come, there's more chance for her to go on that stage, but you want that feeling of, I'm at one with this space, which if you've always been watched, you never get.
Right, let's move down the list. We had 9 today. Counting's not my strong point at the moment. All I can remember is 6-hour delay. But we're not going to do that. Let's start with Albania. Albania mimed, and I thought this was wonderful.
Yeah, it was still a great performance, and you could still see what they were going to do at the end, and it was a quick rehearsal as well. It didn't have to be too long. They were happy with what they had, and that's all you need. You don't need to go full out at a rehearsal because it doesn't really matter. Yeah,
Isaiah came out, did one run through singing. It's just like, that's what you're going to do in the competition. And then for the rest of the time, first of all, we thought there was a tech fail. I went, nope, she's just miming. So they get the camera angles, they get the positions, and there's no strain on the voice. What a lovely idea.
It's that essence of being comfortable. And maybe compared to some of the other songs, it's a bit more a simple performance. There's no dancers, there's no drama going on the stage. We've just got 3 minutes of trying to emote to the camera, and that's what the miming actually was. It was, can I hit the camera shots? It's that school teacher point of view of, let's break this down into smaller, more manageable chunks and actually hit realistic goals for rehearsal.
Can you sing this? Yes. Can you perform this well? Getting there. Is this one of Albania's best rehearsals I've seen at Junior Eurovision? I think it is.
Yes, I totally agree. I was very impressed by Albania this year. It was such a clean rehearsal. It was one of the better rehearsals of today.
Yeah, it just really impressed me. It's just like, this is it. You do have the comfort.
Isaiah's got real vibes of being, I lost a better phrase, quite a likeable girl, in the sense of, you want to hear the story come out. You want to give her time to share not just the joy, where, hey, get the line in, but share the emotions coming through here. Critically, I would love a little bit more emotion from the dynamics too. I think she stays at the same volume far too much, and you don't get enough oomph in that last chorus, which would really help it stand out. There's no key change here where you'd usually do that.
But the obvious answer here is, she's holding back. It's just the rehearsal. We know you can do the singing bit. Let's work on the other bits.
If she's got more to give there, that's going to maybe surprise some people, especially the jury voting.
Yes, this is straight in the middle of the jury target. Right, we'll move on to Armenia. Kurtis, we've got our Disney moment.
Oh, that's
castles, gates, fairies, fluffy dresses.
They're trying to be Disney. I love the beginning of the performance with coming out of the gates of heaven, like you said. But from there onwards, Disney turns into, I don't know, what's a low-rate version of Disney? Whatever that is.
Disney Plus.
There we go, Disney Plus. It turns into a Disney Plus performance.
It is a bit... It's a long 3 minutes compared to Albania, which was quite a short 3 minutes.
This is quite a trope of, Armenian Junior Eurovision by the numbers, going through what they've sent, the whole history of their time. Especially the introduction to this song. You've got maybe 20 seconds of, your vocal jury dynamics are at the start of this song, and then it kicks into the childish pop number for the rest of it. This is how Armenia does this competition. It doesn't offer growth through that. The growth is at the start of the song, and then it just continues on. And I prefer my songs to grow in character, and we lose this after the first minute in that sense.
And Junior Eurovision has evolved rather rapidly. It's obviously got the changing age range of the contestants, but in terms of what the show is looking for, it's moved on much more rapidly than the adult contest, and I don't think Armenia's kept up with that.
There's a real mismatch here because the age range has moved down to 9 to 14, but we've actually got loads of 13 and 14-year-olds in this competition. So the broadcasters are moving up as the EBU are moving down. Armenia is one of those that traditionally has sent more younger style of songs to this competition. That's continuing. And it's got fans. There are many fans of this in Junior Eurovision, those that are hardcore into this competition. They like this kind of thing. I wouldn't say this is special for its genre.
Speaking of the broadcasters pushing the age up, we come to Australia, and Jordan is right up against that 15-year-old age limit. He's right up against the height limit for getting in the stage door as well, I think. He's an absolute giant.
Yeah, he is a massive guy, and he's got a massive personality as well. He's very lovely. I was able to interview him and speak to him a couple of times. He was on The Voice Australia, not Voice Kids, like many of the others have been on, but Voice with all the other adults. And so you could argue, how did he cope with interacting and competing against adults? He succeeded because he is a mature individual. And again, that could help him, and it could also hinder him at Junior Eurovision. Again, being on that limit of 14 going on to 15, again, him being quite mature, I don't know how the audience are going to react to him.
I think they've done their best to not mask it, but to not draw attention to it. He starts off behind a piano, for example. The camera, if you're very careful with those camera shots and the boom shots, the camera's slightly higher above the stage, so there's a little bit more looking down just to sort of break up the optical effect of his height when you put it up on the screen. But he's got a lot of armography.
Well, we've already had a comparison to Michael Rice.
In the press room, I haven't mentioned it yet, but now you've mentioned it. He's got the same trainers.
Here all day. Trainers was what I was going to go for. I think the right arm is always rising every single time. It is repetitive for that term rise. That's not a bad thing in this song, but his arm movement is repetitive, and I'm noticing it.
Yeah. There's a lot of rise and fall, and his top line over his shoulders just isn't consistent enough.
You've also got a little dance group coming in, making a circle, just like with Michael Rice. There's lots of things going on there that I'm seeing comparisons to. This is scoring far better in
We're so far down the nerd rabbit hole now, aren't we, Ben?
We're on the ESC Insight podcast. We already were.
That's true, fair enough. Yeah, point taken.
I went into the arena for this one. I wasn't sure from the sound quality in the press room about the vocals. Vocals were clean and crisp and really strong in the arena. What I could say here, I'd like a little bit more vocal gymnastics. I thought there'd be more when I heard a studio version like Dami Im did. It needs a little bit more flair if he has it. He maybe doesn't, but that would really stand out for me.
Yeah, going first watching the arena, I was quite worried because near the end they try to make it, very big and very crescendo-y, with the backing vocals doing lots of gymnastics and him trying to do a few gymnastics. But I found in the arena the backing vocals were very overpowering, and that shouldn't be happening. The main vocalist needs to be the main vocalist.
Although the arena doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's what comes down the mix and what comes through the soundboard. It's a different channel that heads to the speakers in the arena than goes down broadcast.
So when I was able to go back and actually watch it in the press centre, the levels were much better. But still, I agree that he has quite a fair way to go with his vocal gymnastics. I would love to see him.
Yeah. Belarus next. And this was one of those rehearsals where it just got better and better. The first run through is a bit messy. It's a bit of a splash of colour that's all over the top, and then it just tightened up as it went through. And you can just see why Belarus has such a good reputation at Junior Eurovision, because the last time this went through, Lisa was on point. It was all there. Maybe another month in rehearsals beforehand, if that was somehow possible, and this would be an absolute contender. Right now, it's dark horse.
The choreography was fun here, but it wasn't quite as tight as it could well be. But then we're picking out for that. It was a breath of fresh air compared to some of the others we've had today. It was fun, and I think in comparison to Armenia, Lisa's really grown into this song. It's almost like Karina from Armenia has grown out of that song.
Yeah, I totally echo that. Going from the national final to now, Lisa has grown a lot. And watching her on the television, she has a personality. She's very photogenic, and it's a joy to watch and a ball of energy.
It reminds me of Ukraine's song when they were hosting. That it didn't really do anything on the album. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I just remember that when it actually got out on stage, it worked once and it worked twice, the jury show and the live show. It's like, where did that come from? And that's Ukraine when Ukraine was hosting it, and I'm getting the same vibes from this one. It's like, you've got another couple more run-throughs in the main rehearsals. You've got it, I think.
It could be. I mean, I'm not quite sure on how things are in this part of Poland here, but it's a bordering country, Belarus. It could be a little bit of support from the crowd to just give this a little bit of a push.
Yeah. And as always, we will point out we are in the bubble, we are in the press room. One tiny thing can get magnified. Don't take this word as absolute gospel, but we like this one, yes?
we like what's happening on stage. I mean, I think the chorus is a little bit weak for my cup of tea here, but performance-wise, rehearsal-wise, impressive. Well done.
Yes, I echo that. It's not my favourite song in the world, but it's a great song to watch on the stage. It's a good stage show.
And then we move into arguably the pre-contest favourite, France and Carla. Bim Bam Toi. It just sounds wonderful. It sounds like a Eurovision song. The video has been getting lots of response, and the opening 5 seconds just looks like something like Stanley Kubrick would direct. This doesn't work for me.
Oh, really? I love this song. It's got its ups and its downs.
I love the song, but the staging, these two things don't belong together.
I disagree. I love the use of colour. I love the use of... Look, the words on the screen, I'm a bit sick of seeing words on a screen, to be honest. But it adds to that cartoon kind of feel of the song. And I feel it works. I just like the dances on the stage, add a little bit of energy, and yeah.
They've done a good job here. And they've put a lot of time and effort into this. There are some very cool little gimmicks throughout the performance. Some difficult ones as well to master.
These words are popping out on sort of VR style, so they're coming out of the screen.
Some pop up VR. You've even got some popping going on stage as well with some of the gimmicks that are happening. So there's lots of things happening. And for the dancers as well, they've got to get each move right. Lots of different elements could, and in some of the rehearsals here, did go slightly wrong. The problem with this song, and I wish I got time to say this before now, actually, on a podcast or anything else, it's a brilliant song. It's a music video song. It's just so hard to translate the character that Carla's playing, because it's very much a character song. So hard to translate the style of music we have here. This is not necessarily a normal pop composition song to arena setting. If I was... They've set this up to perform it in an arena, and they've done a cool job of it. I would have set this up to try and replicate a music video, maybe, for an example, maybe more like what Friend of a Friend did with Late Mawali. That was music video setting. I would have gone to that kind of base to try and make this work.
Yeah, and this is where I'm going on. These two things kind of don't work together. The song is a great song. It is sitting at the top of my playlist. In my personal rankings, this is the one. But when it comes up against the visuals, I wanted more motion, more energy in the camera shots and selection. For me, this just felt dead.
No, I want less motion. What you need here is the character to stand out. The character, in this case, is Carla's facial emotions. The camera shots should be neck and head and nothing else. And then you have different shots with the camera work.
Which would give the motion.
But when you say motion, people are thinking more on stage. Actually, what we want here is bring the staging down, let the emotion and the colour stand out.
Yeah, because if you can get into those really tight shots, you don't need a lot of movement to have a lot of motion on the screen.
And it's really disappointing. There's a lot of motion in this arena anyway, Ewan, because you've got a really excellent stage design to create motion from the backdrop, from the, is it 4 or 6 beams?
We've got 4 physical ribbons that are going down. So the second you do even a basic panning shot, you've got 4 different planes of movement, moving at different speeds and parallax. So even a simple pan shot floods yourself with Michael Bay mayhem on the screen. And this is a stage that needs a lot of skill, and there are a couple that have really nailed it, and there are a couple who aren't quite working out what they can do visually with it. And I think that's where France is. I think if this was a completely black stage with just fill lights, I think it would be there, but it's not, so it isn't.
Again, I have to disagree.
That's great. That's fine.
I thought France was one of the most cleanest performances of today. Very clean shots. Angles and all that.
We're going to disagree on that one, but that's fine. No. Okay, so we have a lot of discussion on this one, and as always, you can join in the comments, escinsight.com. You'll see a couple of the rehearsals pop up on the official YouTube channel, and of course, you've got the show itself on Sunday afternoon as well. Doesn't have to work for everybody, it just have to work for more voters than every other song.
The French song's quite different from the ones we've discussed earlier. This is playing for the online vote rather than the televote. It's playing for a different audience, and an audience that will either like it or not compared to some of the others.
Maybe that's why we're having a difference of opinion here, because I'm a lot younger than you, and my sister and I have similar opinions. She's 8 years old, and I feel like she's not here right now, but I feel like she would agree with me that this song is a lot of fun, and this is what we like to watch. It also tying into what I love as well, is I love K-pop. This gives me that kind of K-pop feel, and K-pop really has that kind of stage performance as well.
We love the song. We want the song to do really well. We just don't see the song working on that stage.
I suspect people listening on radio will rank the song very highly. Where it's going to rank with people who watch it on television, that's the question that remains to be seen. Because this is a contest, every bit of it is marked, and we can love individual parts all over. Comments, discussions, there we go. Right then, Georgia. Tiny Freddie Mercury.
He's a sweetie, isn't he? That yellow jacket he has got on is the most cartoonified version of a Freddie Mercury jacket I've ever seen. It's like somebody's came and drawn it in paint all over him, and big fluffy shoulders pads he's got on. It's the most notable thing of the song, Ewan, I'm afraid.
Yeah, all I remember is Yellow Jacket and Nervous Kid.
Yeah, I mean, this is a curious one from Georgia. It's almost like they're just sort of entering the contest to be here, but not really stretching to try and find victory.
I have spoken to the Georgian Hod recently. I was in Tbilisi, and there's a long article about the history of Georgian Junior Eurovision on the website to have a look at. What's different with Georgia at the moment in the history compared to previously is that Georgia was through a national selection process to find the singer. So he was only selected a few months ago, and then they did a search for a song for him. So the process that Georgia have had is later into the final product than it usually is. And the main reason they're doing this, not only for transparency and to have the competition, is that competition gives Junior Eurovision itself more reach in Georgia. More people are engaged with Georgie as an artist. For Georgia, that's more important, having local crowds watching, than what happens in those 3 minutes on stage.
Yeah, I totally agree. In Australia as well, and the reason why I'm here at Junior Eurovision and the role I have with OGAE Australia is to try and get that reach out to get Junior Eurovision out to Australian fans, and I commend Georgia for trying to do that as well.
We'll move on to Ireland. What I love about Ireland is they have 100% committed to what they want to do on stage. I think that makes it less competitive, but I prefer the fact that they've went all in.
Yeah, I agree. I love Anna's determination, and I love the message and how it folds on the stage. But yeah, I love it, and I love the song, but something's missing. I don't know what it is, but something's missing. I don't know. I can't explain it.
I mean, there's lots of imagery here of, fairies and banshees and mythology going on, and there's a lot of stuff. There's also a lot of birds. There are a lot of winged creatures in the graphics and displays this year, so if you want to have something that you need to trigger, something that you do when you're watching this contest at home, maybe suggest whenever you see something that has wings. It's a good song, but it's not a competitive song.
So they've tried to make it as competitive as possible. Ireland's on a back foot in this competition, partly from the online vote system and partly from a budgetary system. So Ireland's already starting a few steps behind. What Anna's doing here is making it more competitive, because Anna's really emoting this, and there's a unique selling point here in what is a very theatrical performance from Anna. really trying to enunciate the words and tell a story. Nobody else is doing that to the level Anna is here.
Yeah, she's on her own on stage.
On her own on stage. Beautiful dress, by the way. I think it would work across East and West as well. So really clever choice of dress by Ireland, well designed. The reason it's more competitive rather than less, Ewan, is it's making risky choices with how that's being played. The only way Ireland's going to score here is to do something different. It's doing things different, and really clean clarity to Anna's voice could appeal. It may not appeal.
Yeah.
Nobody might like this. If somebody does, they'll probably like it quite a lot.
I'm glad they took the risk.
Yes, I agree. For me, it's a kind of love and hate kind of song. How the hate about this song for me is that it can be over the top, over theatrical, and I feel that, again, some viewers or listeners, or mainly viewers, might get turned off by Anna's over eccentricity and over acting on stage.
But then that's musical theatre. That's what you do. You
Yes.
magnify so the person at the back of the theatre can see you. And there's a lot of mid and long range shots here where that works really well.
Yes, they do. They do use a lot of mid and long way shots. Yes, you're right there, yeah.
Right then, Italy. Again, solo on stage. Marta there with the voice of the earth. No, I'm not attempting my Italian because Eddie will have words with me if I do.
La voce della terra.
That's fine. And you know, Kurtis is probably going to show off me able to do it as well.
No, I can't. No.
2-1. Yay! We'll stand this side of the table.
I personally, I feel like she's a little bit overwhelmed. She's quite young. She's 10 years old. I had a little chat with her uncle and her mother, and they said this is actually her first contest that she's actually been to, her first singing contest. And so I feel like she's a bit overwhelmed, and it's a big thing.
It's also a big stage. We talked about the fact that it's got those ribbons of LED, and we thought there might be 6, but it's actually 2 projected onto the backdrop. And on the camera angle, it looks like you get the 6, and it's got a huge, great big diamond in the middle. And that diamond is almost the same size as the Danish stage back from 2014. It is a huge space, and you've got almost sort of 270 degrees of audience around you. So it's very isolating.
I don't think it necessarily made many of the artists feel too small on this stage, though, with possibly an exception to Marta. Yeah. I did feel Marta was a little bit fragile looking on that stage. Now, we have a fragility in this song. It's probably, we've not seen all of them yet, but of today's environmental songs, let's say, this here was a fragile take on that. And in that sense, is that part of the character? Yes. Does that lead to a part of the character which succeeds on the scoreboard? Less confident.
But a little bit more confidence from her rehearsals while keeping that fragility in the performance could serve this song really well.
Yeah, when I see Italy, I automatically think Junior Eurovision. This is a perfect Junior Eurovision song. Like, she's within, like, the perfect age limit, and the song is very Junior Eurovision. Like, it's debatable to say, you know, what is a Junior Eurovision song? That's a whole different discussion.
But for you, this is slap bang in the middle of the wheelhouse.
Yes, this is Junior Eurovision, how I see it.
Kazakhstan now, and, well, they've got the curtain that does the terms and conditions from Strictly Come Dancing from the BBC. And everything else, this is kitchen sink plus.
When I very first listened to this song, I could have told you that, I'm going to go for this, Alamani and Kalama was the translation for kitchen sink in Kazakh. It is the most unbelievable composition. It is the composition which is why I love Eurovision in all its forms, because it is just so overblown and overplayed.
And we'll prove this now. We'll prove this now by having a little game of, I'll go around and each of you mention one of the things that you remember from the Kazakh staging. Okay? So I've already started with the curtain from the terms and conditions from Strictly Come Dancing. Ben?
The shadow thing moves in the backdrop.
Kurtis?
A shiny jacket.
The bird that appears and disappears in the shadows.
The lack of shiny jacket.
The dancers' outfits who look like birds.
The costume change, it turns him into the colours of the national flag.
The lights in the backdrop changing in every single beat of the triplet.
Kurtis is eliminated. Okay, Ben, head to head. The creatures from Doctor Who's Patrick Troughton story, The Underwater Menace.
He's doing the shadow, and the shadow is trying to be in time with him at the same time.
The massive flock of butterflies after the bird section.
The jacket thing with the combination of his thing looks like the flag of Kazakhstan.
I've already done that. Repetition. Yes! Just a minute, Eurovision style. There's a lot going on here.
Could there be more?
That's what I'm worried about, Ben. That's what I'm worried about. You're going to enjoy watching it. He's got such an amazing voice. He's so. I mean, I think if he could stand on his own shoulders, he still wouldn't be as high as Australia.
This song is written to get a standing ovation. Yep. That is how it is designed musically, is to create such an wow, this is impressive. You are going to applause. Yeah. Even he's got a little line after the big crescendo, and there's a vroom, and just a really quiet line, and you're going to have applause kick in before that. It's written for that impact on the audience. Stunning, different, tasteful or tasteless, I don't know, but I love that it's here.
It made me cry.
Oh, you could have had that one and not been eliminated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
dream on, though.
Yeah. Like you said, the way the song was composed, it was composed for the stage, and it was composed for him, and it was made to be an epic moment, and we'll see on the night if it is an epic moment. You'll just have to watch and see. And get your bingo cards ready to find out, because I'm pretty sure we missed some of the gimmicks. Right, we finished up today with Malta, and right then, okay. Kurtis, very simple question. Did this give you more the vibes of Kevin Borg singing it or Deborah C singing it? A bit of both, I think.
It does feel very Maltese.
Yeah, it does. It's a Malta song through and through.
And I know we joked about Kevin and Deborah there, but it is Eliana's song, and she performs it really well. She's got great stage presence, which is what I thought. She could connect down the camera really easily.
Yes, it did. I don't have much of this standing out, though. Verse and chorus and production just feels like there's more needed, especially when you've just we've just had Kazakhstan in before that, which is everything.
We're doing this in rehearsal order, not running order. We should stress that.
And it's the other way around, is it Malta into Kazakhstan? Yes, it's Malta into Kazakhstan. And I think actually there's a crescendo effect here, going from Malta, which does the formula. Kazakhstan adds everything to the formula, follows on to that to the host country. And if they've just been cheering wildly for Kazakhstan, Poland has an audience primed immediately from the get-go. It's going big in the hall.
Yeah, the running order is really built on the crescendo. And again, we have an article from Ben going over that back at escinsight.com. There's a bit of Americana in here. And, when I say it sounds like Malta, you look at it and you just go and you listen to it and you think, yeah, I know what's going on here. And then we've got the words in the red and white in the background, so you've got national colours again. This just feels like a nice, comfy 3-minute song that we love every single year.
For me, Malta was, like you said, what you hear every single year. Unfortunately, the stage show doesn't add anything new for me, and it's not unique. Eliana's unique. She's a lovely girl with a lovely voice. Before listening to the song in the music video, I found it was a pop song, but I felt like it was unique, and her message was kind of unique. But coming to the stage, lyrics on a background doesn't really wow me.
Especially if you don't film the entire background in the camera.
Yeah, and you just get a more or an or the bit where they have all the words of different colours, and it's just like chock-a-block. It feels a bit iMovie player for me.
I think it's fair to say from this that us three here are ruling Malta out of being in that big mix-up of the leaderboard here, which I'm certainly comfortable with. However, there's many ways to succeed in Junior Eurovision. Like Georgia will succeed by getting more people watching at home and engaging. With Malta, with Eliana, who's quite a bit of a Eurovision fan from our conversations already, the success here is, will she become the next Deborah C?
I'd rather she comes the next Destiny, because then she'd actually get to Eurovision.
Destiny's doing well, isn't she? She's up to
She's up to backing vocal levelist now, so there's only a few more steps before.
Still in the X Factor. I think that that might be happening. That would be great to see.
So there we are. That's our rehearsals for the day. Highlight of the day, Ben.
The highlight of the day. I mean, I could say that everything has worked out, and that's one of the highlights, of course. I think the real highlight, though, has been. You know what? The new way the press centre works. And that's a really boring one, but I'm going to go with this, Ewan, because
we don't have press conferences here. No press conference.
We've spoken already about the idea that we're not open for the first 2 days of Junior, but there's no press conferences as well. There's going to be a press meet and greet on the Saturday instead. Press conferences are dull.
Yep. The artists are just coming in, they're going, who wants to do an interview, here's a sign-up sheet, and they're taking it at their own pace, and I think that's the key thing. The artists are much more in control of their own schedule.
It works well for me because I'm here by myself, so I don't know how I can, stretch myself between reviewing a song on stage and doing a press conference at the same time. And again, I agree with the more chilled attitude. Again, filming my interviews, it looks a lot better. My interviews look a lot better when the artists are happy and they're enjoying themselves compared to a press conference with a set amount of questions which are quite generic, and then it like you said, it's boring and it doesn't achieve much. So I feel like with this new style, a lot more is gained.
And I think the fact for me that everything is so smooth, TVP's planning for this.
And it's a production 100% made by members of Polish TV. So they're getting the opportunities here to make the progress necessary if you ever have to come back here for any reason in the future.
That's it. That's your chat through the rehearsals in a nice, light-hearted, lots of discussion points coming up in there. Please feel free to drop them off in the comments back at our website, escinsight.com. You can get more from Kurtis and the OGAE Australia team at...
Yes, OGAE_Australia. We're on all the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, and YouTube.
Spotify's fastest social media now?
I guess it does. TikTok does, doesn't it? Why doesn't Spotify?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm getting old. I'm going to have to leave this game of Spotify's a social network. I thought you just played music on it. Okay, fair enough. And of course, Ben is doing sterling editorial work back at ESC Insight as well. You've just had the Macedonian interview go up.
I have. I spoke to Mila Moskov in detail. And we're also going to be looking at the environmental songs in Junior Eurovision and why it's a trend of them this year. And we'll also have something on the online vote coming up as well before you probably hear my voice again in this podcast.
Because the online vote, as we're recording this, it's Thursday evening, the online vote opens Friday evening and the show's not till Sunday. So what impact will that have on the contest, on the result? More experiments in Junior Eurovision, more discussing. We'll have the second half of the rehearsals to go through tomorrow. We've got the dress rehearsal for the show, so we'll see everything joined up together on Saturday so we can give you a preview on Sunday morning, and the show itself happens on Sunday. I like this fast schedule, and that means we only have a little bit of time for Ben to say... Nope, you've run out of time. That's it. It's the guitars.